Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Called Anyway. We have a really cool episode here for you today. This episode matters on so many fronts, but it's a little bit different than I think we're kind of getting used to. I want you to meet a couple who met in recovery, now both lead frontline healing work. Whitney as a survivor advocate for my group, Ashlyn, and CJ as founder of Healing Time Coaching and Consulting. So, for Whitney, you may have seen her in a previous episode. She is amazing in every sense of the word, and she is here to talk about her husband, her life. Her husband is here to talk about his life, what they're doing now, and how they've come out and come so far from where they once were. Hello, hello. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So, again, welcome Whitney and CJ. So, I'll start with you, Whitney. Just a quick reorientation for listeners. Your story, if you want to just kind of give the high level overview of your story with substance abuse and surviving, all the things.
My story, I'd like to start out with, childhood because I feel like that is usually a catalyst to, obviously what happens later in life, right? I was molested as a child, by a family member and, um, started getting in trouble at school, dressing like a boy, skipped to preteens. I met a guy on the internet when I was 12. He was much older, 22. He sexually assaulted me and was charged, never convicted because of his parents' financial status. But I was placed on probation, went to TYC for 3 years from 14 to 17. And then when I got out, met my first trafficker. First trafficker was extremely abusive. I had never really been in a relationship before. And so that kind of set the stage for what I accepted as okay and kind of what my standards were. The bar was just kept going lower and lower. Went through a few traffickers, and then I ended up, doing the only thing I knew how to do, which was post ads and sell myself, and ended up getting on heroin and meth, going to jail every so often. I mean, you name it, right? And got court ordered to go to a rehab, which I had never been in rehab before, did not plan on getting sober, didn't want to be sober, didn't know how to be sober. And it, something just stuck. I was put on this like court ordered probation. I wasn't even supposed to be on probation, but they looked and saw that I had had prostitution charges, and they were like, "Oh, we think you'll be a good candidate for this program." And I'm like, "No, no, I won't be." And it essentially, I feel like, ended up saving my life. I'm still um, pretty close with my old probation officer, and go back and do things with that court every now and then. And although I would not have admitted it at the time, I do think that it saved my life. CJ, I met whenever I first got out of that rehab, and I was in transitional living. We were not supposed to be fraternizing at this place, of course, because you can't, you want to. It was honestly like a toss up. Like, had I not met him, I don't know where I'd be because my downfall has always been men.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that God knew that, God saw that, and he was like, let me give you a winner.
Well, absolutely. And, we're going to dive into so much more of you guys' story, and it's amazing. It's beautiful, and it enlightens me in so many ways. But, we say you're a survivor advocate, and I say, "Oh, you work with my organization," but like I really think you're a survivor advocate for everyone. Like you'll work with anyone and everyone, and I've seen you do it. And so I just wanted to ask you, like, what does being a survivor advocate like look like day to day? I mean, from your perspective, like what is it like being on that side?
I feel like it's kind of I mean, it's a multitude of things, right? Like there's not, I think that it requires like a huge, you have to have boundaries, like strict boundaries, not for, obviously for the other person, for the survivor that you're servicing, I
Mhm.
mean, serving, oh, s- for the survivor that you're serving, right?
Right, right.
But also for yourself because it is emotionally taxing and I have gotten caught up where I'm like, I just want this person to be okay. And you can want that all you want, right? And that sometimes is just not enough. And so I think having clear cut boundaries and going in with no expectations is, if you don't do those things, like you will be like distraught.
And I think that's one
Um,
thing you've taught me is you can't want it more than they do. And you have
That
you've
that and then
drilled
just like the level of expectations, I think as humans and as empaths and just people, right? We have these expectations of what we think is going to happen, what we want to happen, and what they need to do or act like sometimes.
that.
Myself, I have done that like, numerous times, and it never goes the way that my mind says this will go this way. It never turns out that way. And I think it's kind of like a life lesson, like, okay, you want to put expectations on things? Let me show you. Let me show
Well,
you what that's going to do.
and I think that speaks to so much of who you are and how you work in that survivor space because you are not afraid to admit that you're always learning. You're always
Oh,
learning
yeah.
new ways to adapt, new ways that they are going to approach you, expectations on both sides. And having been so lucky to have sat beside you and seen you firsthand work with a survivor, it's unmatched. It truly is. It's unmatched. And you do more work in that survivor space than I could ever even dream or try to. Um, so year over year over year, what are some things that like you think have changed like with yourself and like how you relate to people, but also what are some changes that you're seeing in this industry of nonprofit anti-trafficking work? Like what are some things that you're seeing, good or bad?
So some things that like I have learned or seen is just that the main thing I feel like is that I didn't feel qualified. I didn't know what anybody else like saw as qualifications in me at first. Like, how can I do this? Like, I was newly sober. I I'm not like a strictly professional person. Brooke, you're like an HR queen. But I am not that person. And so it took me a really long time to see like my worth and my value in this space. And I think that that's why I'm on fire for this work is because I now see what I have to offer. And I think that's the biggest thing is like building that confidence.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's an ongoing process, right? But also, some of the things in this industry that I've seen that I'm not like um, stand out to me are I feel like since a few movies and stuff have come out, like it's become a really hot topic. It's become a buzzword, and you know while intentions may start out as good or for the right reasons, I feel like um, that gets lost in the kind of humbug of everything, whether it be clout or notoriety, whatever that may be.
Hmm.
Things get lost in all of that, and the mission and the fight gets lost in that sometimes. And I feel like it weeds out, a lot of the times I feel like it weeds out kind of who's in it for the right reasons. And, it, you know, because I feel like in anti-trafficking, while people may not come out and be like, yes, we are a ministry, it has to be a ministry. You don't get called to do this work without God behind you, and without his blessing, right? And so I feel like that's a huge thing that I've kind of seen like firsthand.
Yeah.
And also just like, like you said, like I'm always learning. Like I don't do everything right. There's not like a cookie cutter way to do things. Actually, if you try cookie cutter, like you'll fail every time because
Every time.
nothing is one size fits all. But I have seen a huge like change in law enforcement, not just with their mindset, but with the things like openness, like willingness, and just kind of, willing to like see, okay, well, this could have been this whole time. Vice teams,
Yeah.
who have been, vice for, 15, 20 years, their mindset has shifted to where it's kind of like, okay, dang, I never thought about, this girl could be like made to do this every single day, and we're just over here arresting her. I will say in my case, being arrested that last time saved my life. I would not be here. I probably would have OD'd or done something really
Yeah.
stupid to die. Like, let's be honest.
No,
And
yeah, you're right. I will never forget probably the rest of my life what you said to me because I've always been in the camp that says, don't arrest. Like, give them the resources, give them the love. Like, let's meet them where they are. And you looked at me in a room full of people and you said, friend, sometimes arrest is what it takes to save their life. And it was like in that moment, like you spoke to me more than any of the nonprofit leaders I've worked with, legislative leaders, leaders in our space. Like you said, you know, it's not always that easy just to meet them where they are because where they are is deep down in a pit of despair.
you still meet them where they are, but
Right.
I feel that like, and just to clarify, not everybody needs to be arrested, but in my case, I had been
Sure.
arrested for prostitution 3, 4 different times. And had I been offered resources or whatever, if I knew that I could just be like, pull the trafficking card, I would have done it every time. I'm being
Absolutely.
trafficked and took the resources, right? But like sometimes if you have been caught up ABC, and the same thing has been offered, like something's not clicking, and that's okay. But like there has to be, okay, you get arrested, and then like I was court ordered to go to, this probation on steroids where I had to go to groups, 3 days a week. I was drug tested, sometimes 3 and 4 times a week. Had to go to court once a week. Had those things not been in place, I still would have been out there doing what I was doing, And so
Yeah.
I think that that's really important to highlight because it's not going to be, offering resources and stuff. It's not always going to work. Like it's usually not going to work. But like after so many times, like we need to have like a contingency plan. And so
Yeah.
if we can get law enforcement on board and come up with some aftercare, like yes, they go to jail, but like what's after that? Because being released and nothing provided after that, you get somebody away from their trafficker, the lifestyle, drugs long enough to where they have time enough to kind of like weigh cost and benefits. Like, what is this doing to me? I think that that's great, but like, what follows that,
Yeah.
right?
So I want to get to CJ, but I want to ask you one more question. Why is our space so competitive? Why are we all trying to serve the most vulnerable population, but we're all climbing on top of each other for funds and clout and resources? Why are we doing that? Like from a
Well,
survivor
the
standpoint.
funds, I think that the funds, it's obvious because you can't serve unless you have,
Mm-hmm.
money.
Yeah.
But also, it goes back to notoriety, I feel like. I want to kind of bring it back to the church. I think that, I obviously I love Jesus, love God, and I'm here for it, right? But I think that, you know, a lot of mega churches have become a fashion show or notoriety, right? And it's the
Right.
same in this space as any other space. I feel like it's the expectation for this space should be up here, but it's just like anything else. We're humans. We're ego, all of that. It still applies to us.
Yeah.
Not, even if we have, a heart of David, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like anything else. Once you start getting, noticed in this space, it can be addictive. And so I think that that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I've found myself like getting, whenever somebody, gives me positive affirmation, that's my love language. I think that
Same.
when, yeah, when that happens, sometimes it'll go to my head and I'll be like, hey girl, calm down. But
Yeah.
but I mean, we're just people, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so if most people are not cut out for this work just because it is emotionally taxing. And
Yeah.
if I feel like if you don't have some type of trauma, you're not cut out for it.
No, I agree with you completely. Unless you've like seen the belly of the beast, you're never going to understand it the
Hmm.
way that somebody that has, is able to. So, thank you.
100.
CJ. Okay. So, tell me, man, tell me. Okay, tell me about like your own years in like drug abuse and addiction. Like, where did it start with you? Like, what did it cost you? Like, how did you end up in the same place where you could meet someone like Whitney?
Um, yeah, so I'll start as Whitney did. It goes back. It started in childhood. My form of trauma was a little bit different. My parents got divorced when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and my father was not in my life, so it was neglect. You
Mm,
know, when they got divorced, I started acting out in school, fighting, getting in trouble. And then, because my mother and father were basically beefing, now that I'm grown, uh, I know there's two sides to the story, right?
mhm. Yep.
But I was living with my mother, so all I was hearing is what she was saying about my father. And for years, I had resentment and hate toward my father, um, and I acted out because he wasn't there.
Mhm.
So that neglect was a catalyst in my addiction. And ironically, until you know. This last time because I've been in and out 14 treatment centers. I can't count how many times I've been to detox. Been to prison 4 times, three in Texas, one in Georgia. Um, until I forgave my father, which was this time when we were at the 24-hour club. Um, I couldn't fucking stay sober, man. I couldn't
Yeah.
get clean. I would get time, but it'd be like 10 months, 11, 6 months, a year, and then I would go right back out because, of of the resentment and hate I had towards that man. You know,
And it like
um,
ruled you. It like ruled your life almost because the hatred you had like formed everything, you know. That was a huge
uh,
catalyst. Yeah. Wow.
absolutely. So I mean, started out with marijuana and drinking. I played sports, so that kind of uh, kept me occupied, and it also uh, gave me mentorship.
Mm,
Like I had positive men in my life,
yeah.
like my coaches and things like that. Uh, but once, I started. I've always had gotten in trouble in school, like being the class clown or fighting, things like that. But once around my junior year, um, my grades, skipping school, my grades, it started to affect me being able to play sports. And once that was removed, I would drink on weekends, and I didn't like weed, right? I was like,
Yeah.
hell no, they're gonna UA me. No, I want to play football.
Yeah.
I want to go, I want to go pro, right? Which I wasn't that good. Wishful thinking, man. We all have dreams. That was a pipe dream. But yeah, I mean, I want to play in the NFL. But once that was removed, then you know, started smoking weed, skipping school. Um, then started selling weed at school. Got expelled. Went to night school, summer school, and then they the year of the summer school. I was going to Plano East Senior High, and I was involved in that big 96 to 98 heroin epidemic in Plano. Um,
Yes. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Wow.
so I was selling weed at the time, and then I started selling heroin or Chiba, and then I started using it. And then, well, first I started using like Coke and Xanax, and then I never really liked cocaine. I mean, I would just do it socially.
Mm-hmm.
But then uh, a friend of mine got me to try cheese, heroin, powdered heroin you could snort. And, I still remember to this day, we were at a 7-Eleven by my house, and I had snorted a line in the car, and like we went into 7-Eleven and it hit me. I was like, oh man, got a Slurpee. That was the best freaking Slurpee I ever had in my life. Yeah, I was like, and then we went to Deep Ellum, and then man, I met like three girls, and I was like, oh, this is smooth talking. You know what I'm saying? No anxiety. I was like, okay, this is.
This is
So it
it.
started out, yeah, it made me like, I'm the Mac. Like, yeah, this is good. And it started out every weekend, and then, as you know, heroin is very addictive. Um, I started
Yeah.
getting withdrawal symptoms,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
having to do it, which at the time, I was selling or whatever, but eventually, I was using more than I was selling, and then the
Man.
criminal history starts, and
Man.
yeah.
So fast forward to the program or the place that where you met Whitney. You know, you weren't looking
Uh,
for her, were you? It just
um, I think everybody there is lonely, you know.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and here's the thing, like in these structured environments where rather like we see it all the time at treatment centers, the rehab romance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, people are vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, me and Whitney still have friends from the 24 Hour Club that
Yeah.
we'll have for the rest of our lives, right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, you get close to people. Um, Not to mention, you've been doing drugs. Your sex drive is depleted. That
Yeah.
your sex drive start coming back, and you're like, oh, my mojo still works. So, of course,
Yeah.
yeah, but it happens. But
How did we start talking?
a friend, a
Yeah.
friend hooked it up. Basically, he so he was talking to one of Whitney's friends, and I he was like, "Hey man, you mess with anybody?" I was like, "Man, I got a couple girls I'm talking to, but ain't nothing." He was like, what's up with Whitney?" I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "All right, I'm gonna hook it up," and then uh, from there we just started talking.
Okay,
And
that's
yeah.
so cool. And we're going to go more into that. But what was your turning point into sobriety? Like at what point were you like, I can't do this anymore? Like I have I can't do it. I got to be sober now. Was it meeting Whitney? Was that enough or was it later on?
Actually, I love Whitney, but no, she didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
So I was in Denton County Jail.
Hmm.
Um, uh, on a theft charge. I had like ran out of I was dope sick. I had went in the store and just ran out with the merchandise. Tried to run to the train station. They caught. I got away. They caught me at the train, um, and they arrested me. With my record, I have multiple possessions, credit card fraud, thefts, theft by deception. So anytime, similar to Whitney, once you have three of the same misdemeanor, they enhance it.
Oh,
So yeah, to a state jail felony. So my theft, man, it was like $500 what I stole, which would have been a misdemeanor.
yeah.
And I didn't. I mean, I didn't touch anybody. I just grabbed it and ran out the
Right.
store. They immediately enhanced it, and I had paraphernalia on me. Ended up going to jail, and man, actually, I remember sitting. I was sick too. I was in withdrawal from heroin. I was
Yeah.
sitting in the back of the car. Man, I just was like, I felt
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was like a relief. I'm like, man, it's over. I the rat race ends at least for a little while, right?
Yeah.
Uh, So I was in there. My mom hadn't heard from me in like, 2 months or so. I'd only hit her up when I needed money or needed something, but she had cut me off because of the lifestyle I was living. Got back in touch with her in Denton County. Attorney came and saw me about 2 months in. Uh, it's a state jail felony. I'm like, okay, well, let me get a 1244A. I've had like three of those. She was like, no, you can't have that. You've already had three of them, which is absurd. I'm like, well, guess guess I'm going back to state jail, right? To prison. Um, so I'm talking to my mom. I was started going to AA and going to church in jail.
Yeah.
And then, man, there was this old white dude, man. I was drawn to him, man. Uh, and he gave me some like scriptures to read. I started reading those scriptures, and then he gave me like a workbook. So I was in jail, like, and praying. I was like, man, God, make drugs taste like shit in my mouth, like
Hmm.
alcohol and drugs. Like, just remove that
Yeah.
from me, right?
Yeah.
Man, I was praying, like, me and my mom were building our relationship, and the court appointed attorney comes back and is like, hey, they're going to drop this to a misdemeanor. Um, By this time, I got like 3 months and time served. So I'm like, oh wow, okay, yeah, I'm with it. So, and then she was communicating with my mother. Went to court. I had tickets for the paraphernalia that I got caught with, but they ended up releasing me. So, uh, God moved in my life once again, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, man, my mother was like, call me when they release you. They released me, and after I dressed out, uh, there's a feeling we get uh, as addicts when we're about to get. It's like but we call it bubble guts.
Yeah.
Like it's in like a turning in your stomach, and they had dressed me out. I was waiting to be released, man. My mind convinced me to go back to South Dallas,
Yeah.
to get on the train and go back to South Dallas. After God had moved in my life,
Right.
that was a miracle. Um, and I ended up going back down to South Dallas, um, and got high for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Through the course of those 3 days, uh, you know, I called him my OG. He would like had me. He was really using me. Like he had me do jobs for him, like illegal things, and he would like let me borrow money and stuff like that.
Sure.
Man, uh, I was in a trap house. I had shot a speedball, coke and heroin, um, and I like broke down, started crying, and got on my hands and knees, praying in the trap. Like, and I was crying, and they were like, "Man, get that motherfucker out of here! He's fucking my high up."
Yeah. Oh my
Man,
gosh.
what the? They were like, "What the hell is this?" Like, man, those 3 days. Another one, I had smoked some K2 after shooting dope, which,
Uh-huh.
uh, man, they said I was rolling around in the grass, my underwear, my pants, my shorts, and I was butt naked, just rolling around in the grass.
Yeah.
Like um, those 3 days, I experienced some things uh, that was like God was like, no,
You're not,
no.
this is not for you anymore.
Nah, he's like, oh, you want to play? Okay, I got something for your ass. I got something for you.
Whoo, won't he
So
do it?
yeah, that so it was like that Monday. Um, it was 3 days. It was that month. I got out. It must have been Friday. I got out.
Mm.
Man, it was some people that were selling dope on the corner. I didn't have no phone. I was like, man, can I use your phone? They're like, I ain't giving you my phone. I'll put you on speaker. You might run off with my phone. They put me on speaker, and I called my mom, and I'm
Uh,
like, man. She was like, where the hell you been at? Like, you've been out of jail 3 days. I was like, man, I'm coming to Plano. And yeah, she met me at the train, and then I ended up going to Victory Outreach. Now, let me tell you about. I'm not going to badmouth them, but
yeah.
yeah, it was. I was there 2 weeks. You have to pray on your knees for 30 minutes, 3 times a day. Um, if you curse, you got to write a scripture 100 times. Can't look at the opposite sex. It was like a cult there. I was there 2 weeks, and I knew I needed to get back to the 2-4. So when I go to leave there, it was me and another guy. Uh, the like director uh, basically tells me, "Oh, if you leave, you're gonna relapse. You're gonna die."
Hmm.
And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, like trying to make me stay there. I was like, you know what, man? Fuck you. And I'm gonna, just because you said that, I'm gonna do this shit this time.
Yeah.
So I left. I went with that guy. I didn't get high. I did drink like Four Locos for like 2 or 3 days.
My gosh.
Um,
Those make your
yeah.
mind explode.
So then my mom was coming out there. We were staying with that guy I left with's aunt. Um, and then it was something about my ID. I think we were waiting on my ID to come back so I could go to the 2-4. And then from there, went to the 24-hour club and, you know,
And that was
did
it.
what was suggested. Yeah.
Wow. So like all of that time and just such a spiritual battle, right? Of like, are you going to do it? Are you not? Is God going to do it? Is he not? And every time he said, I'll show you, I'll show you. And, you know, to fast forward the years, like all of that happened with you. And now you are the president, founder, CEO, king of Healing Time. And you
Mhm.
do interventions, wellness coaching, family integration, placement, aftercare, while being an amazing husband and father. Like, how does someone from here get to here? How did you reconcile that? Did you ever see yourself being the founder of essentially your own life and being able to steer your own life and to help other people that were once where you are?
I mean, I always knew that there was a, there was something better and I had a purpose, right?
Yeah.
I think for people like myself and Whitney, and possibly, I mean, even you as well, like
Mm-hmm.
our experiences uh, can be used to benefit someone else. So all that shit that I went through
Mm-hmm.
today, I'm like, oh, I
Hmm.
see that. It
Yeah.
wasn't even it wasn't about me.
Yeah.
It it was training day, and I'm supposed to use that to help someone else.
Mm-hmm.
That actually makes me an expert.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like just like Whitney. Whitney's an expert with trafficking. And to be honest, you use the word interventions. Um, man, when y'all meet with those survivors, y'all are doing interventions. Did you know that?
Yes, but I'm still learning my footing with that. Whitney's the expert on that.
It's a cohesive thing.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. Did you ever see yourself in that place though, where you would be leading others, where you would be on the flip side of that?
I had a feeling I would be working in treatment. Um, I didn't know what that looked like,
Yeah.
but I mean, hell, I've been to 14 treatment centers.
I mean,
So
if anything,
yeah.
that gives you the experience. You can say, I know what works and what doesn't work, and you can see through a lot of the other stuff. So, in your role currently, I say roles plural, reaching adolescents and adults in crisis. Um, it's not all substance abuse, right? But it's also not just mental, mental health. It's crisis and trauma. You know, what are some of the trends you're seeing kind of in the DFW area per se? When it comes to adolescents or adults.
Um, Definitely. So, uh, healing time and collaborating with Oshlin, right? More often than not, um, and I'm quick. I'll call you and call Whitney if I,
Yeah.
uh, if I identify something
Mhm.
that looks like uh, DV or trafficking,
Mhm.
but substance use disorder, mental health, trauma, and trafficking,
Yeah.
those lanes are blending a lot more
Hmm.
Mhm.
than that's definitely um, something that I've noticed. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's only because I've been educated, right? That's why the work you guys are doing is so
Mhm.
needed because
Mhm.
if you don't have a clue what it looks like or what's going on, then it'll go right over your head. I know. Oh, I remember a couple of years ago when they did that trafficking bust in Plano. Remember? They were like, "Oh my God, trafficking's in our backyard."
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's where that education piece and bringing awareness to this is definitely impactful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, you have such an incredible story. So, for both of you, so like meeting the way that y'all met, right? So unlikely. But now you both are in this extraordinary place that you're serving the very people that are
We were.
in the space that yeah, you're serving the people that you were. So, you guys love each other and you've built this wonderful marriage, Like, were y'all always a good influence on each other? Did y'all always build each other up? Or was it ever like maybe you guys were a stumbling block for the other?
I think that, well, for me, I think that, I mean, since day one, I was very caught off guard because I had never, I wholeheartedly expected CJ to be a douchebag who, just wanted some. And I had to make the first move first because he was like respectful and I didn't know what was going on there. And so I think that from that point on, like he has always been like my rock. He's been like, I'm since the first conversation that we've had,
Yeah.
he's always been a safe space. He's always given me like he's always been so wise and like shared that with me because I'm very impulsive. Well, not as much anymore, but like I used to be like super impulsive. I'd go ziggity boom in just a second because I was pissed off.
Yeah.
Um, Example, when I was on probation, a bunch of my UAs were coming back diluted for some reason. I had no idea why. I was like, you know what? I'm about to drink a whole bunch of water before I go pee. They want diluted. I'll give them diluted. And it backfired on me and I had to get a drug patch. I wasn't using, but I think that's what pissed me off more than
Yeah.
anything. And he was like, why'd you do that? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know.
But I think
But
that's
he's,
so unique though. Like y'all get
mhm.
each other. You understand each other on a wavelength that I think had either of you married anyone else, I don't know that you would have had that. And y'all have an actual friendship embedded in your marriage. And that's really
I,
good.
th- I think it's also like obviously like no marriage is perfect, right? Like we learn from
Sure.
I mean stuff that we go through, right? But like you said, it is a friendship and I think I wholeheartedly trust who I'm with. That hasn't always been the case, right? Like he didn't even have to do anything for me not to trust him because it
Right.
came along with me being me.
Yeah.
And so I think respecting him enough to give him his space, but also CJ taught me how to be in a normal, healthy relationship. I had never had that, like never had that. I was 29 when I met CJ, and I was so codependent on him, and I mean, he literally had to talk to me and was like, hey, like, we don't have to be up under each other all the time. Like, I want you, he would set me up on play dates, with different people. I mean, literally, like, because I didn't know life without my significant other. I was so codependent for so long on everybody I was with. And he had to teach me that, like, hey, you go do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. Like, and we come back together at the end of the day. We talk about our day. Like,
Yeah.
that's what normal is. Like, it's not, we don't have to be codependent. And when he said it, it hurt my feelings. Like, now looking back, I'm like, I need my personal time. Like, I don't want to be up under him. I get on his nerves sometimes and he gets on mine, and that's cool. If we didn't, we wouldn't be normal. But like, I didn't understand that at the time. I didn't understand a relationship without, physical abuse. I tried to hit CJ one time, and he was like, "Hey, I'm not going to be treated like that. Like, I don't have to be treated like that." He was like, "I'll call the police on you." And I was on probation at the time, and I was like, "Whoa." And that's never happened again. But I also didn't understand the respect, like what respect looked like, and that didn't have to be a part of our relationship.
But he was leading
Um,
you and teaching you those
a
things.
100%. And I've always felt like that was so misogynistic of people when they're like, the man leads the household. And I'd be like, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
But I had just never had a man who was capable of handling me, dealing, helping me deal with my own trauma, but like
But
also,
while still understanding exactly what you were feeling, he was able
hmm
to go, she's saying this because of this. She's doing this because of this. I need to show
hmm
her that it doesn't have to be that way.
CJ's never called me out of my name. He's never used my past against me. Any of my past mistakes, never brought him up. And I just think that it's so unique, especially now in 2026, right? Like, he's just, he's just respected me in a way that I've never had, and, um, I think that that speaks for itself.
Sure, sure. Okay, so both of you, tell me about Luna. You both had very different reactions. CJ, she is the apple
See,
of your eye. You love her so much.
Oh yeah, keeps me on my toes.
She's your twin. You take her to the jumpy park.
every day.
Yeah,
She's
She's a
yeah.
force. She's a very strong-willed child. And while sometimes, a lot of the time, it drives me crazy because I feel like we're butting heads, but I also in the back of my mind, I'm very proud that that's who she is. I think that CJ and I can agree that when I got pregnant with Luna, she was one of four pregnancies between us, and one of eight for me. And we were really scared whenever we were very excited, but cautiously. And once we found out like the pregnancy was viable, everything was in the right spot, I think it kind of prepared us for holding our breath like the entire pregnancy. And I mean, until the moment that I heard her scream, I held my breath, and then I knew I was going to cry right when she was born, but I mean, like, it was like the floodgates had opened because, okay, she's here. She's good.
alive and she's, yeah. Mm.
But I'm going to tell you, I still hold my breath. I didn't understand, my sister-in-law, CJ's brother's wife told us before Luna was here. It's like, oh, I'm so excited. And I was, and she was like, you will never sleep again. And I thought it's because, babies cry. You got to get up every 2 hours. No, it's because there is a piece of your heart like walking around
Mhm.
and you just never know what's going to happen. And I don't think I could understand that until I can never sleep again.
And as someone that knows her and loves her dearly, I can say she is one of those children that is not heavy on her mom or heavy on her dad. She is the very best parts of both of you. She is wild and crazy and unpredictable and hilarious, like you, Whitney. But CJ, she's very wise. Like she
She is.
she is. She's very smart, but she's got a lot of wisdom in her. And like Whitney when she says, "Mommy, you look very pretty." Like just things like that. Like she's wise beyond her years, and I think she gets that, from CJ. She's
Yeah.
friendly and happy and like all the things. And she is a strong-willed child, but let me tell you both, I am the mom of a strong-willed child, and they grow up
Yes, you are.
and they rule the world. I'm telling you. She will grow up and she will be a warrior because of the two people that made her. And that same Spitfire that's upsetting you and you're like, "Go play, go figure it out." I'm telling you, she's going to be the president one day. She's a change maker, and she's going to be the one riding a wrecking ball into rooms that
Hmm.
at one point you guys might have been scared to even enter. And I'm telling you, she's going to be, she's going to change it, change the whole landscape. Um,
Well, one of my favorite, I do like one of my favorite things about her. I was taking this class for in college, and they were talking about how there was this study conducted on creativity, and anybody that knows Luna or is friends with me on social media knows that like that girl's creative. She's got a new outfit on. She nicknames every single stuffed animal and she's got a room full of them. Every toy she has and they're crazy names, but she remembers them all. So this study, it was talking about how, scientists and artists, I think it was either scientists and artists or scientists and mathematicians, like
mhm,
they had the highest score, but it was still extremely low. And then they did the study on children, and their scores were off the charts. And it made me think about Luna and how once we start experiencing life, like things become like they're not logical. Like certain things become not logical, so our creativity kind of plummets, right?
yeah,
But I was thinking about her and, all the how she plays with her toys and these stories. I'll be in the other room listening to her and she makes up these crazy stories. And just like how she always, wants to play dress up. She's been that way since she got here. And I was like, you know what? Like I'm proud that she's like that and she's unapologetically her. She knows what she likes. She knows what she doesn't like and she doesn't mind letting you know. And if there's any qualms about anything, very, very vocal about it.
yeah. But
You
she,
know to expect that with her.
yeah, but she wouldn't have that without both of you. And
No, I agree. Yeah.
CJ's very like calm and like, all right, we're gonna be chill, and you're not, and that's okay.
I'm not.
She's so a balance of that, and she's someone that you guys can be so proud of. And I think it goes into my next question for you guys about intersection, right? Like your intersection of your lives, made Luna, who is just absolutely beautiful, but in your work right now. So, Whitney, with your anti-trafficking work, and not just with me, with the different counties, the police, police departments, law enforcement, everything. How does that intersect with CJ's work? And then CJ, likewise, how are you able to utilize, Whitney's knowledge of, you know sex trafficking and assault and domestic violence. Like, how are you guys able to explore that together and see where they cross and where you guys can bounce things off professionally? Whitney, you want to go first?
Uh,
Or CJ? It doesn't matter.
CJ.
Okay.
well, I mean, again, the education wise,
Mhm.
and I like to have resources, right? So for any and everything. Um, and through the course of time, the window of willingness usually, if someone is seeking help, is very small.
Right.
So
Hmm.
the important thing is like when it appears, move then and try to make it happen. And that goes for with survivors. It goes with mental health and absolutely with substance use disorder. I try to get people connected. If I can't help them, I'm going to connect them with someone that I know can help them. So definitely, that's where we intersect with
Yeah.
that.
And I can tell you, with Ashland, my organization, most of the resources I have come directly from you. And you have also helped reframe a lot with me. I mean, I have been hanging out with Whitney and she, oh, who are you talking to? And I say, I'm talking to your man, and I'll be talking to you about a patient that I'm helping or a survivor I'm helping. And I mean, there's so much intersection with the two of you. And, I know as an organization, I mean, you're a pillar. I mean, CJ, Healing Time, like the whole thing, because you were so connected. And just like you said, if you can't help them with a resource, you at least know what that resource should be and who we should be looking for. Like, that's so valuable. So Whitney, what about you? Do you see the intersection the same?
Oh, 100%. But so CJ, for a long time, like his gift is connection. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not I feel like it's not something that can be taught. Uh, I think about him like I would rather go to CJ for anything to do with substance use, although I do
Yeah.
know a lot, but he knows, what a good fit would be for somebody, not just for their needs, but also based on insurance. Oh, you don't have insurance? Okay, let's get you hooked up with insurance. The
Mm-hmm.
place that you need only accepts, A, B, and C. So when you call, ask them about that insurance plan. And he's just so good at like, I mean, in a split second, he'll know what resource to send you or what place would be, best for your specific needs or your situation,
And not
and
even
then
just Texas. I mean,
no, done, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and then aftercare wise,
mhm.
most people, who do, marketing or business development, they will send you somewhere or, whatever. And then, maybe you reach back out after you get out and you're doing good. No, CJ will see it through. He will continue to keep in contact with you throughout your stay there. He might go visit you, once a week, whatever that looks like,
Mhm.
And then he'll recommend somewhere for sober living, or maybe if he just sent you to detox, like long-term treatment or whatever that looks like. He walks with people, and I didn't understand that wasn't usually what happens, because obviously he's my husband and I know that about him. But like once I got in the industry and I started seeing like, oh, usually like people just,
Yeah.
get them in and then cool, you might hear from them later. No, CJ will come and see about you. And
See,
I just think
yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Finish. Whatever you were saying.
that's like my favorite thing about him, because he gets like text messages or calls, from people he, helped 3 years ago, and not just like a help, like, yeah, let me send you this number, like I'll get you in. No, like they call him at 3 o'clock in the morning and they have, relapsed for like the 11th time, whatever the case may be, because he's not just like a one and done type of dude. Like you can keep calling him after you've relapsed.
You are
He
too.
might go off on you, but usually that's why people love him, because he's not just like, okay, well, uh, love and light, like, let's get you. No, he's like, now I told you that this was going to happen. Like, what do you have to say? How do you feel? How do
Yeah.
you feel?
Yeah.
And they'll work through it, you know what I mean? And then they'll come up with a game plan. And sometimes that's the only way, most of the time, that's the only way that you can get through to somebody who is extremely manipulative
Yeah.
from survival instinct, right? And so that's what I love about CJ. And he's not a clout chaser. Like he's not
No.
notoriety's cool, right? But if it doesn't benefit the client, like he didn't care. Like he sends wherever. It's not like in behavioral health, I feel like a lot of things are, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours.
Yeah.
And I hate that. I hate that because sometimes it's not what the client needs,
Yeah.
but they have to do it anyways. And he's not like boxed in by this thing, right? Like he will do what is best for the client. And if it's not what's best for the client, he didn't care about saying that.
So, CJ, that reminds me of something you told me once about how they talk to you on the phone, and I think they envision someone, and then you show up and they're like, "You're CJ?"
Oh
They thought he was white.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I will tell you, CJ, I am, you guys live up in Collin County. I'm in Tarrant County, and a lot of my work is mainly Tarrant County centered. But I will tell you, CJ, people know you that I don't think know you. They've
yeah.
heard of you, and that is not an easy thing. I worked in healthcare for 15 years before I started working, with Kyle, but I know the healthcare marketing space, not so
Uh-huh.
much on the mental health side, but I do understand that for people to know you in rooms that you're not in, and for them to say to me, "You know CJ?" I'm like, "Yes, I know CJ. Yes." Like, I want you to know, I know you're not chasing clout, but that is because of your good work, and that is because of your personal ethics and your due diligence for the people that need you the most. There's something to say about that. So, I talk about vision all the time and collaboration, and how, you know, I want to partner with Healing Time. I want to partner with CJ and Whitney. I want to do all the things. And a big
Mhm.
initiative that I really feel like God has been leading Ashlyn towards is safe men. And I want to speak on that for a second, because I was at an event a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, and it was talking about, oh man, this group of people thinks that this group of people is just a bunch of pedophiles, and we're not pedophiles. And I know that sounds silly, but at the same time, I started thinking about Whitney, and I started thinking, you know, who was the most terrifying man? Who was the man when you were in the life and when you were being exploited and when you were just a shell of who you really were? The most terrifying men were the men with nothing to lose, right? It wasn't the men
So,
that,
sometimes I felt like the most terrifying men were law enforcement.
of course,
Maybe because
but
I didn't want to go back to jail, but
I
also
educated my
because,
husband. Yeah,
huh?
I educated Kyle on this. And he said, "Man, the scariest men to these women must be the scary guy on the corner that's dealing dope and doing all this scary stuff." And I said, "No, Kyle, you are the scariest man. And he goes, me? Why? And I said, you know, you've got a family, you own businesses, you like all these things. But he's like, you have the resources and you are a very scary individual. And I started thinking about safe men. And CJ, you are a safe man. You understand exploitation and substance abuse, and you understand that whole life cycle. And I think how important it is for safe men to be a thing for women in general, but also those coming out of, trafficking scenarios. Because Whitney, just like you said with law,
I do want to say
they're
something.
not safe. Yes.
Uh, so I agree with that, but I do feel like just coming out of the life,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's not healthy, even if it's a safe man, only because, and this was my, like, I'm speaking from experience.
Yeah.
You come out of the life and you meet some guy, whoever that guy, whatever he may look like, and you feel that he's rescued you. Your, your sense of, what love looks like is so distorted and messed up. And then a lot of times that can lead you to falling in love or crossing boundaries with this safe person, right?
Yeah.
And unwanted advances only because I feel like for me, sex meant love, like for
Right.
so long. And that's how I show you that I appreciate you, or these boundaries get crossed and lines get blurred, and I'm like, does he like me? So it can be
Mm-hmm.
almost it can kind of not be a great thing, I feel like, but I think that before that happens, before trafficking starts or whatever, or even, years afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that having safe men do trainings on what that looks like for CJ, right?
Yeah.
How did he know what I needed? Or
Right.
um, how is he so gentle? Because he has RBF all the time. Like he cannot help it.
He's a
He does.
sweetie. He's a sweetie.
He's a sweetie pie, but you would never know because he always has a scowl and he doesn't even know it.
He's
Like a lot of the
serious.
times he's like, he looks scary or he looks mean. And I'm like, girl, he's a teddy bear. Unless somebody messes with the family or whatever, but
All you got to
he
do is
ha
mention Luna, and he gets this big grin. See? Yeah.
But like, how did he know that? How did he
Yeah.
know, even when I get riled up or, I can't take, constructive criticism, so I act out when I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
How did he know how to like combat that? Like, how did he know how to bring me back down to I'm okay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know that. So how could he know that? And so I think educating about that, or, how to,
How?
reframe a person's identity in themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that's a collaborative effort, CJ, that I'm very interested in, is reaching down into this generation of men. My son is 23 and he's a sweetie too, but he's going to get married and have kids and live this great life. But at the same time, I feel like, have I really done that great of a job if he is not a safe individual? Be somebody that women can feel safe around, because Whitney, at the end of the day, how did you know CJ wasn't going to just be another person to exploit you? You didn't, you
I
know?
don't think I cared at that point. I
I
was just
mean,
trying to get
but
some.
still, I mean, I think, safe men, may we, be them, may we raise them.
I don't think either of us thought, when we first started talking, that we'd end up getting married and having a
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
I don't think like either of us was banking on that. I never thought that I would get married and it not be like an abusive or toxic relationship. And so my life right now has been it. I feel like it's just been like so out of left field, but like I'm so grateful for it because I never expected this
Yeah.
for myself or this relationship, you know. But I think that as far as Christian's a sweetie pie, and he's definitely a safe person. Like I've never felt like he wasn't like a safe person, even though he's so young. I feel like he's always the minute that you stop being teachable is the minute that you, I mean, I feel like you're irrelevant because
Yeah.
you have to remain teachable.
Yeah. Yeah, teachable and coachable. It's that pliability and CJ, I think for you, like that is such a true statement. You had to be open to being sober and open to getting help before you could even receive help. And I think that's something that has kind of stayed with you and what you carry forward. Because one of the very first times I worked with you on a survivor, I was so frustrated that this mom would not move forward with something, and you were like, "Hey, you can't want it for them. If they're not ready for that step, all you can do is be there." And that kind of shifted with me because it's like, Brooke, all you got to do is show up. And I don't know, you've taught me so much, and I thank you for that. So the very last question I want to ask from each of you is, the title of my podcast is called Anyway. And it stems from my own trauma with, our daughter and trafficking and the beautiful love story that is. I believe it's a love story and a story of God's faithfulness because it's nothing to do with me being an amazing mom or us having this amazing family. No, no, no. It is strictly God's faithfulness because she shouldn't be here. Whitney, I think you can agree with that. She shouldn't be here. But
She shouldn't be okay if she,
no. And
yeah,
Whitney,
and
I
she's
will I will pivot to you and say, uh, when you and I first started talking, I wanted to be your friend, but I wanted you to mentor Natalie. I wanted you to mentor Natalie. I said, man, I got to get her with Natalie. I don't care how she feels about me. I got to get her with Natalie. And it was one of the very first phone calls. She said, I don't know if I can mentor her. And I'm like, why? You go, because I like her. I want to be her friend. And y'all like really connected. And that's amazing.
well, first, let me back up. You tried to introduce us that one day, and she was not. She was going through some stuff,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Hey, friend, like, I don't want her to feel pressured into, meeting me or, whatever. I want it to happen organically because, I I don't want it to be just something mommy wants me to do.
Yeah.
And I think that I was like, ask her if she's cool with going out to lunch,
Yeah.
after this.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay. And everything just kind of happened after that. But yeah, no, I do love her. And she had that fire and that, yeah, that fire that I was talking about in Luna. She has that. And I am so grateful that I am her friend. I'm not mentoring her. We give each other advice, and I've never met a 20-year-old who gives great advice. Sometimes she's like, you know, damn. But I'm like, so I know which advice to take and which one not to take because she is that friend
Fair.
who's like, we ride it on. But no, she is
Oh, yeah.
very, very wise. And that does stem from like trial and error, trauma. People didn't ever think that I would or I could. And I did.
And what's that
And
quote you
so,
found? What's that quote you found last week about the building?
oh yeah, to all the doors that closed on me, just know I'm coming back to buy the building.
100%.
Boop.
So called anyway. What does that mean to you guys? CJ, I'll let you go first. When it like called anyway, like To me, it was, I feel so unqualified for this work. Why am I in this space? I've never used drugs. Whitney, I tell you all the time, you have to tell me the lingo constantly. CJ, what does that mean for you to be called anyway?
Regardless of what has happened or the circumstances currently that someone is going through, the past or even the present, um, there's still a calling on you.
Yeah,
And to follow that, because life gets to life, and uh,
yeah,
called anyway, I immediately think about purpose.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
yeah,
there's no
that's
blueprint for your life. I think it's your call. You're called regardless of the circumstances. Whitney, what about you?
absolutely.
I think that for me, I think about my record because it's very extensive, and um, you know, I remember being so like intimidated by job interviews because having to explain why you have a bunch of prostitution charges on there to a man, or my if you look at my record now, it really doesn't add up with who I am, right? Because I'm
Right.
a completely different person because people believed in me. And so I think that what used to count me out before qualifies me now. And I feel like, um,
Mm,
you
that's
know,
big.
it
That's big. What counted me out before qualifies me now. Wow.
because I used to be so intimidated by like, oh, this person's gonna think like I don't understand this stuff, or I'll never be able to get like a good paying job, or what makes me like good for this, or
Hmm.
maybe
Yeah.
all those voices in the background, maybe they're right, everything that you've been told, like you start to be like, dang, maybe but it just takes one person to really believe in you and push you.
Yeah.
Um, and hey, if you have more than one person, like the more the merrier. And like, I feel like the better your life will turn out because I know CJ has always been like, I used to get so mad at him because he'd like believe in me and be like, baby, you can do this. Like, you should do it. And I'd be like, I can't do that. Why would you say that? It would truly make me mad because I'd be like, why would he just gas me up like that? Like, why would he just say that? But, one of the things was school. And this was three and a half, maybe about 3.5 years ago. And I got so mad at him because I'm so bad at math, haven't been to school. I got my GED at 16 when I was in TYC, and I was like, I don't know any of that. Like, how can I go back to school? And now third semester starts tomorrow, and here I am. And I'm like, God, I look back on it like, dang, like, things happen at their own time, but like, geez.
Yeah. Okay, so I said that was the last question, but I do have one more. CJ, Whitney, you first. If somebody is struggling right now with being exploited, abused, anything, what is your one thing you want them to hear?
That doesn't define your future. That, if you want out, and you're able to get away, or you're under that person's like spell. Maybe they told you you're their girlfriend, and it's cool. Like, this is how you guys are gonna stack up and get ahead, and it's just only for a little bit. Like, no, but that's not what love does. That's not the kind of encouragement that love gives. Like,
Yeah,
that's not who you are. That's not the only thing you have to offer.
right.
There's a way out, and there's life after that. Um,
Okay.
and there's there's somebody out there who will love you and show you what love actually is. It's not what you have to offer.
And sometime in the most unlikely of places, right?
Hmm.
TJ, what about you? Somebody struggling with substance abuse, mental health, abuse of any kind. What do you want them to hear today if they heard nothing else?
Just that, help is always available. Um,
Hmm.
you know, as far as with, the substance abuse, step one is about surrender and acceptance.
Hmm.
So um, you have to surrender, man. Like
Yeah.
finally, you know, say, hey, I'm done. Now granted,
Hmm.
that's temporary or just for that moment, but and it's surrendering every day.
Yeah. And choosing
Um,
to surrender. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, anyone struggling, help is available. With Healing Time coaching and consulting. Uh, it's not about finances or insurance or anything like that. If you contact me, I'm going to assist you or connect you with someone that can help you.
And that's
So,
incredible. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, listen, thank you guys so much. You are dear friends of ours, and CJ, we are so happy to have you in the fight against human trafficking and abuse and exploitation on any level. I mean, just proud to have you in the fight and proud to have your knowledge at the table. And Whitney, I mean, come on, my left hand. I've worked alongside you. I've seen you speak. I've seen you educate. I've seen that fire in you, and it's unlike anything I've ever experienced or seen in anyone else. Because I can say all day long, and I fought with this for a long time. Because people would say I'm a survivor, and I would say I'm really not, like my daughter is. But Whitney, you are blazing a path, and I will say with your background and your history and the stories and just everything, as crazy as it is, for law enforcement to contact you and say, what do we do with her? What do we do? I need you to come out. I need you to figure this out. I need you to give me the resources. Winnie, if that is not the opposite side of the coin, I don't know what is. And
I don't either.
CJ, for me to walk into rooms that in a county away that you're not even in, and for CJ, I do, I do. He's a really cool guy, and there's something to say about that. And I think that you guys were called anyway. I think God saw the little spark in you guys, and He was just waiting. He was just biding His time and waiting. And when you finally surrendered and met each other, and then finally surrendered and came together and did are now in a space where you're doing the very work to save the individuals that were once where you are, you're not to be counted out. Like, you're now more qualified than any of the degrees and accolades and clout that any of us in the nonprofit industry can chase. You guys already have it. So thank you so much. I'm going to include a graphic with CJ with your website and your contact information, and Whitney, your contact information as well. You guys are amazing, and I just want to thank you for being, not just in the fight, but just for being great friends and being amazing to Luna. And thank you for giving the earth Luna. Like, come on. You think she'd do an episode?
Oh, she would
Oh,
love to. She would love to.
We could talk about My Little Pony and whatever, but
She would dress up and show you all of her
I
outfits and
saw
then
her
draw
this
on her
morning.
face. I know you did.
well, thank you guys so much. I love you both dearly, and we will connect. And thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Bye. Thank you guys so much. I really hope that this was an enlightening episode. they are my friends, but they are also incredible, incredible resources for anyone that is struggling. With Oshlin, we have a roster a mile long of resources that we give out, to survivors and things like that we work for. But I can tell you, if you're looking for close, like, knit community and someone that really actually cares, they're your people. I'm called anyway, and so are you.